Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Angela Saavedra, the director of the Center on the Hill, and it is time for another episode of Tell Me Something Good, now with special guests. And I am very pleased to be joined today by Evelyn Carpenter from the Presbyterian Church of Chestnut Hill. Hi, Evelyn.
Hi, Mary Angela, and hi, everybody out there. Welcome to the church office.
We're so happy to have you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, I'm glad to be joining you too.
Great. So for those of you watching for the first time, I pick 3 cards from a game called Storywise, which is 144 ways to thoughtfully bond with a fellow human. And then I ask them at random, and we'll share our thoughts. When we're done, you can email me your thoughts and join the conversation. Here we go, in no particular order. I'm going to start with this one. This is the picture. They're setting up one of those lanterns where you put the flame in it.
The witch lantern?
They fly up and they send off. And this card says, something you wish you could communicate to someone who has passed away. And wow, there's a couple. But I think the one that jumps to my mind the most is my grandmother used to always tell me that she really hoped she could live long enough to see my cousin Wilson become president of the United States. And she knew she wouldn't because he was so much younger. And you know, she was like, I'd be like 110 by the time that happens. I'm old enough when that happens. And so she knew she wouldn't. But I would love to be able to tell her, like, you know, don't worry, because it's happening. He has laid out his life to hopefully be on that path. And as long as things don't change too dramatically in our country, he definitely is poised to make a run for that, probably in the next 20 years, I'd say. She was right. She would have to have been about 110 to 120 years old just to live long enough to see it. But I'd love to let her know that, like, that was always her dream for him. And he's working on that. he's going to give it a try. So I think that's really exciting. And I'd love to tell her that. I think she'd love to know that.
Well, that's an exciting one. I don't know if I have anything that's quite that exciting, or I could think right off the bat of multiple people that I'd like to see again in my life, my father, my grandparents. But I think the one that comes closest to my heart is my friend Carol Clausen, who died probably about 5 years ago. She and I were the same age. We went through school together, and we used to meet every year. Her birthday was in August, and my birthday is in October. So we would try and meet every year for around September, and we would meet for a nice, just friendly lunch and happy birthday kind of thing. And about 5 years ago, we did that. We had a lovely lunch, had discussed our grandkids, discussed our husbands, went through everything. And the next morning, I got a terrible phone call from her husband that she had died the night before. And I was one of the last people to be with her right before she died. And it was a very sudden thing, very unexpected. And to this day, I miss her dearly, because we grew up together and we went to school together. And she was a really, really sweet person that we had a lot in common. So it makes my heart ache that I don't see her anymore, and I would love to connect back with her.
Yeah, that's great. Definitely. On that line, you know, I'd love to have a conversation with my father. I feel like there were a lot of things we didn't get to talk about before he died. Like, we knew it was coming. He had a heart transplant, but it was a situation I'm like, I wish I had, you know, it's always that hindsight where I'm like, I wish I had asked all these other things, like this last bit of fatherly advice. I would have loved to, a conversation would have loved to have had. I get
well,
that.
yeah, speaking of that, D-Day was just this June 6th, and my father landed on Omaha Beach. And every year on D-Day, I think, you know, he was 19, and my goodness, I don't think that I ever really searched in depth, because my dad's been gone now about 25 years. And as a younger person, I don't think you really search that out, but now it certainly seems to mean a lot more to me. And again, like you say, you know, I'd like to ask the questions. How was it? What did you do? You know, I knew the basics, but it would be lovely to get more in-depth questions going.
Yeah, for sure.
My grandparents, the same thing, history, all those things we never had. Yeah, if we only had somebody to zoom into them, right?
Of course, exactly.
That would be fun, yeah.
Ooh. All right, here is our next question, our next picture. There's people, they're eating a meal, and the one guy's looking at his phone. And this one, you go first, says, public behavior in others that disappoints or bothers you.
Oh, that's a good one because that always bothers me. When my husband and I are out for dinner and I see a couple sitting next to us and they're both on their phones, I think, what a waste of being able to enjoy a lovely meal together and you're both on your phone. I think I also hate when you go to the movies, or when we used to go to the movies, and people just talk through the whole movie, and they always seem to be right behind me. And it's like, just stop it. Stop talking, just wait till the movie is over. And I guess another big one is when I go to church, some people around me seem to think that when music is playing, it's time for them to chat. So I think there are people that don't realize that they're being inconsiderate, and those little quirky things tend to bother us.
Yeah, those are great. I agree with all of those. For me, another one that really, I would say, disappoints or bothers me is, and I've seen this a few times, and it always really surprises me, is, sometimes there are people who are, and I get that we're in a rush and our world is moving around us pretty quickly. And so it's like, get in, get out when you're, at a store or whatever, especially right now, it's not happening as much, thank goodness. But I used to get bumped into all the time in the store. And I'd be like, do you not see me? I'm right here. Like, are you so like tunnel visioned that you're just like, I'm going for these things? Like, I'd be looking at rices, and suddenly someone like bumps into me and then is like reaching around me for a rice, or not even around me, just like what they were going to was beside me, and I wasn't really in their way. But I get bumped into often, and I'm just like, and I look around, and it's not that we're in such a narrow space. Like, I understand if you can't avoid it. Like, that makes sense to me.
Well, at least say, I'm sorry when they bump you.
Yeah, exactly. Some kind of, oh, excuse me. But I mean, but nothing. Like, and I'm just like, am I, do they look at me and be like, well, she's a bigger girl, so bumping into her, like people must bump into her. Like, I honestly don't know the reasoning behind it, but I'm always like so disappointed and bothered where I'm just like, why? Why do you feel the need to do that?
Sometimes when I'm driving, I always say, I feel like I have a sign on my forehead that says, pull in front of me.
Right.
People always are pulling in front of me, and I always say the same thing. Is it me? Like I don't have an exceptionally big car or a small car. Why are you pulling in front of me? Yeah.
What?
Inconsiderate human beings.
Right. My other one that's to the points that you made is people who talk at the theater. Like, it's live theater. So movie, like, I get it. They're used to watching a movie in their house. I mean, it's still completely inconsiderate, but like, I feel like, to me, logically, I understand why their brain is like, it's fine for me to talk right now because I talk when I'm at my home and maybe my voice isn't as loud or whatever. But at the theater, there's an actual person like performing in front of you. So if you are
despite the fact they say, no talking and no cell phoning.
Sorry, silence your cell phone and please don't talk.
Yeah.
But we have to remind you, and it's like, what? But who knows? All right.
This little chat will make somebody who is talkative think twice before they talk next time.
Let's hope. All right, our last question kind of goes to what we're talking about. This girl's making a very silly face. And this says, the good and the bad of social media. And I'll start because I feel like the majority of my adult life has been set in a social media kind of world, because I was newly 30 when social media started to really blossom into the form that we have now. And I would say it was great, and still remains to be great, for connecting me to people, friends of mine that are scattered all across the country and sometimes the world, because I feel like I'm still very close to those people because they're sharing pictures of their life moments and their children and, what's happening in their world. And I'm sharing those moments. And, when we do talk, sometimes through social media or sometimes, through texting or whatever, they'll say to me, oh, I saw, like, your son graduated, congratulations. Like, that's so, and I feel like that's the good. It's really helped connect us in that way. I think the negative for me has been the birth of the influencers. Do you know what an influencer is? Have you heard about influencers? So influencers are a culture of young adults and now getting older, whose sole job is to go around and like things tangible things you can buy, or and help market them basically. And so they're called people of influence. They have these whole social media accounts, and basically if you have enough followers or people like you enough, advertisers or companies will pay you to talk about their products. They'll send you free things because they're like, you're an influencer, you're going to influence people to buy this stuff. And so then they do videos of themselves. They're like, I just got this new product, it's this and it's so great and this is why you should buy it. And to me, from my generation, an influencer is usually a person of culture, like a leader. Like those are the people who we want to be influenced, right? Presidents and social activists and people like that. That's who should be influencing us. And instead, it's a 19-year-old girl with a camera and a light in her room, and the companies are sending her products, and she's being like, "This is great." And there's a whole generation of youth that are aspiring to be these influencers. That's what they want to do. And I'm just like, oh, you're missing the world. Like your whole is this, and it's like there's so much else. Like I feel like that's really been a strong negative of social media, and it's unfortunate. But I'm hoping this is just the early part of that, and it's going to ebb and flow. But I love the connecting part. I love being able to get on and look and see what my friends are doing, see, pictures of Halloween costumes and feeling like, I'm there with them while they are getting ready for trick-or-treating. Like, I just love that. I think that's pretty cool. How about you? What do you think the good and the bad?
Well, I like that. I like that too. I especially love just posting pictures of my granddaughters. And I like posting beautiful flowers that are growing in my garden and my orchids that I have that are flowering. Things that are nice like that. But I also am really happy. I don't know if this is actually social media. I guess it's not. But I always have questions about what is this or where did that come from. And I love the fact that if you have a smartphone, within a second you can have an answer to, I would really miss the fact that I have answers to most things right at my fingertips. And I don't know whether that's part of social media. I guess I don't use a heck of a lot. My husband and I, being older, are not real savvy with social media. We have a lot of trouble connecting movies and such at our home, and tend to just watch our cable TV and our cable, whatever shows are on, what's available to us. So I don't use probably social media to the full extent that your generation and even younger generations are using. But I would miss it. I would really miss it if I couldn't text my daughter or my granddaughters, and I text my husband when I'm leaving work. So, I enjoy all of that luxury aspect of it. I don't like the part where, as you say, like on Facebook, there are people that are not real, that are on there, that are, now that we're going into politics, people that are posting bad things about politicians that aren't true. I need to know the facts, and I don't need people, influencers or whatever they're called, going on there and telling me that this or that person is a horrible person because he's done thus or so. So it would be nice if social media were truthful. It's just like it would be nice if people weren't out there doing mean things to each other. But I guess that's part of our world these days. Social media adds to it, and it has its great parts and it has its little shady parts. So I would miss it, though. I must say, I would miss it if it went away.
Yeah, I would too, for sure. Well, great. Well, thank you for answering those questions. I'm going to recap for everybody at home real quick. Our questions today were: something you wish you could communicate to someone who has passed away, public behavior in others that disappoints or bothers you, and the good and the bad of social media. Join the conversation. Email your thoughts on these topics to me at msaavedra@chestnuthillpress.org. That's msaavedra@chestnuthillpress.org. And I want to thank Evelyn for being with us. Thank you so much, Evelyn, for being with us
today.
It's
nice to chat with you. It's nice to see you again. Hopefully You'll be back in the church someday soon.
Fingers crossed. Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.